What a difference a day makes. I did this route more or less the same yesterday, overcast completely, and today it was completely bright sunshine. This made quite a bit of difference. It didn't eliminate all the disengagements, but it made a lot of difference in how this thing drove and how many disengagements I had to make. So let's see what this one's like. Okay, we're coming up on someone that's walking his dog, and it's in full self-driving right now, and I shut it off because I'm just a little antsy about this. This road yesterday was a monster. It pulled off constantly towards the right, and it did it there again, right there. But as we start going down here, it seems to be getting quite a bit better. It was pulling over at every telephone pole and so on. Now here it's kind of pulling over again, and I had to drop it out there. But it's not doing too bad in this road. I was kind of amazed that it didn't turn over to the right as many times as it did when we were overcast. So obviously it's got to be making a difference that the sun's out bright and shiny. Now here I'm going to have one disengagement again right here. Looked like it was trying to go over and hit that car. But now we're going to come up to a corner. I'm keeping it pretty slow here. It's only set for about 20 miles an hour. And here it did go over here and have to shut off again. Now here at this corner, I had to kick it out here in a little bit, but it isn't so much that it was pulling over. It was doing okay, but it starts accelerating a little too fast when it gets going here, and it gets kind of upset and it shuts itself down. Now we're back in again. Now yesterday I was having, it was almost constant where I was pulling over to the right and I was constantly having to shut this thing down. Well, it's not doing it quite so much this time. It's actually holding a fairly centered lane, so it's got to be the bright sunlight is giving these cameras a little better view, and maybe the cameras are understanding it better. So we'll just watch this for a little bit. I'm going to link my other video from yesterday so you can take a look and see what you think of the comparison of the two videos. Now it's going to do kind of what my pet peeve is pretty soon here. We've got a corner coming up, and it usually comes a little too fast up to the corner, and I let it go ahead and do it. It did stop okay but it makes me a little antsy because I don't like to push it that far. But it's going to make a big mistake here right quick. Now we got a little bit of traffic here, and it's waiting for the traffic. Now it's pulling forward, and there I stopped it. Now what was happening, you look right there, that car was coming. Now it would have pulled out in front of the car and would have been okay, maybe, but I'm not cutting it that close, not in the wintertime. It's just too close. Now we're back in, and it's doing pretty good on this road too. Now there's one little issue coming up here. It's not going to do it this time, but there's a traffic light. If you look up there, you can see the traffic light. Well, it's under construction. It's not ready to go yet, and it has stopped for it before. It probably should stop for it because it's one that's not working, and that should be a four-way stop. It is going to try to stop for it on the way back. Now we're coming up to a traffic circle, and I'm going to kick it out here because this traffic circle, I wouldn't mind trying it, but there's usually too much traffic. There's people behind me and so on. So I've just gotten out of the way. Now I'm coming back up and over. Now through this intersection here, we're going to have a problem. Now, it just tried to go into the right lane. It probably couldn't really see the lanes. There's two lanes here. The right lane turns off to go on the freeway. The left lane goes to the traffic circle. So it was taking itself out of the lane I wanted to travel in and moved it over to the right. Now here we're coming up to this traffic circle again. And I'm going to kick it out. There's just too much traffic behind me and in front of me to give this thing any kind of a test because I know it's going to stop at the yield sign. Now we're back in again. And we're going to be coming up to that traffic light. And that traffic light, if you look at I'm set for 35 here. If you look at the speed, we're going to start coming up to this, and it is going to try to slow down for it. So I can't figure why it's slowing down sometimes and not other times. But that's what it did. Now in this part of the drive, yesterday when I did this, I had a lot of problems with this thing. Both pulling off to the right-hand side, but very commonly it tried to pull to the left towards the center, which has got to have given some of the oncoming traffic fits because it looks like I'm about to pull over into their lane. But it's not doing it today. It seems to be doing fine in the bright sunlight. And you can just watch this for a little bit. Now here I'm set for 35, and there's quite a bit of changes in speed in different places. This part of it isn't too bad, but see, it's slowing down a little bit there. And this is also something it does fairly commonly, is it slows down for the railroad tracks. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. You just don't know what's going to happen. Now here it's slowing down for the railroad tracks. Maybe it should slow down for them, but it's probably going to upset other drivers. Now this is a four-way stop, and it does fine on these four-way stops. It's maybe slows down a little bit later than I would for these conditions. But the biggest problem I have with it is when it starts off again. It starts out, slow like they usually do. But then all of a sudden it just starts accelerating quickly. And not real thrilled about that. I kicked it out there because I have to make a turn right there. Okay, now I'm coming back the other way, same four-way stop. And you can see again, it's going to accelerate pretty fast. Once it decides to accelerate, it pretty much takes off. Now this one here, yesterday I had a lot of trouble with this, mostly pulling off to the right. And it's doing pretty good. We're set for 35. Yeah, this is a bit different than it was yesterday. But it's going to slow down up here when it comes into some of the shaded area. Like right there, it slowed down a fair amount. And I think it was just not able to see the road as well. That seems to be, the cameras are just not catching the road the way it is. And the shadows are probably upsetting it. For the most part, the shadows didn't seem to bother it. It isn't bothering it too much here. It's slowing down a little bit, but yeah, it slowed down quite a bit there. Okay, we're coming to the end of this drive, and it's done a lot better than it did yesterday. I guess you can only drive in bright sunny days with FSD beta in the snow. But yeah, it is doing a lot better than it did yesterday. So that's it on this one.